Well, thank you for having me, and thank you for holding this important conversation. I think we have to remember that what we're seeing now in Gaza is not anything new, and as shocking and horrifying as this, brutality and savagery that we're seeing is at the moment. We have to remember the state of Israel was permitted to be established only 3 years after the Holocaust, the genocide of the Jews in Europe. So after the Holocaust, after 3 years, the international community allowed the international community allowed an apartheid regime to be established in Palestine, a campaign of genocide and ethnic cleansing to take place in Palestine by the Zionist movement and then the state of Israel. And this is going back 75 years. Thousands were murdered, close to 1 million people were kicked out of their homes. An entire country was occupied, and an apartheid regime was established. And this is 3 years after the end of World War II, after the end of the Holocaust. So what we're seeing now is a natural progression of that. Israel has always been above the law. The Zionists have always been able to manipulate, to influence not only the West, because today we're seeing that Israel has support in Africa, it has support in the Islamic world. We just saw the Arab Islamic countries not able to pass a resolution to cut ties with Israel. We see BRICS, the BRICS country, with the exception of South Africa, have relations with Israel, are not cutting ties with Israel. So there is no reason in the world for Israel to take the international law, take human rights, take the rights of Palestinians seriously. There's no reason. It is a racist society. It is an apartheid state. It has brutality and violence, not to say savagery, has been a hallmark of Zionism. It's been a hallmark of the state of Israel from the very beginning. Granted, we're seeing levels of savagery right now that are shocking, and we're seeing it, live. This is in prime time. And there's no attempt to even hide what's taking place. I mean, they're lying about it, but they're not hiding it. When we hear the rhetoric by Zionist leaders going back 100 years, even before the establishment of the state of Israel, we hear the same rhetoric today about destroying, about killing, about eliminating, about this terminology that speaks of a genocide. All the different synonyms you can think of for genocide have been part of the Zionist lexicon from very beginning, before even the state of Israel was established, and the international community stood by and allowed it to happen, as they are allowing it to happen today. And I would submit that one of the reasons, at least, there's more than one reason, but at least one of the reasons is that the Palestinian issue is an orphan. It's always been an orphan. There has never been an organization, a state, a group of countries, or even individuals really that stand up and push the Palestinian interests forward. I'm here in Washington, D.C. There's nothing. There's no voice, there's no office, there's no organization, and this is true in London, and this is true in Paris, and this is true everywhere. There is no voice to the Palestinian issue. There is no parent to Palestine. Palestinians are orphans. The Palestinian issue is an orphan, and that is the problem. While Israel has been working tirelessly and very effectively through a massive campaign of public relations for over 100 years, well-funded, well-organized, focused, they march forward like Roman legions, undeterred, but they're also unopposed. There is no opposition to the Zionist narrative. There is no counter to the Israeli lies and lies and lies and lies, even though so many people know that they are lies. But there is no counter voice, and that is, I think, one of the problems. Of course, there are other issues as well. The fact that the lives of Palestinians don't matter have to do with racism and other issues as well. But I think at the very least, there has to be some kind of an organized voice that pushes forward and tells the Palestinian story. If you look online, if you Google Palestine, if you look at images, all you see are protests and terrorism and protests and terrorism. You don't see anything about the history, about the culture, about the literature, about the existence, about pre-1948 Palestine, which was a thriving country. You don't see anyone contradicting the Zionist lies that they made the desert bloom, where in fact they stole a country that was in full bloom. They stole money and cities and towns and everything else that was already in full bloom. We don't see that being countered anywhere. And even today, as they are bombing and murdering children and destroying an entire population by the thousands, they're lying, and the rest of the world is accepting their lies. The rest of the world is allowing them to perpetuate the lies, perpetuate this savagery, and there's no opposition and there's no voice. And so,
sir, in 1 minute, because we are going to give you 5 minutes. This is the powerful of the lobby in the media and the money in the in the weapon and even industry. Where did that come from?
It's all the same thing. It's all part of the fact that the Zionists have been working very, very hard to have a say, to have influence in the media, in politics, in culture, in philanthropy, in industry, in every aspect of life in the West. You see a Zionist hand. And I'll just finish by saying that right now, I and a few others are in the process of establishing what we're calling Dar al-Hurriya, you can see behind me, which will be a space in Washington, D.C. to push forward the Palestinian story, the Palestinian agenda, and Palestinian interests once and for all. So thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm sorry I have to run a little bit early. I have a plane to catch, but I appreciate the opportunity to speak to everybody. Thank you.